with that, we have a couple of other little news and notes to get into in regards to the All-Star weekend and such. Gary Bettman held a press conference where he confirms some big news. And that is that the NHL will be participating in the Olympics again. The Olympics, hooray, in 2026 and 2030. Now, is this good news? Yes, it is. Of course it is. It's the NHL going back to the biggest stage where the best players in the world will get to compete on an international level. It is tremendous news. There's no doubt about that. However, surprise, surprise, I can find a negative in something. The fuck. That's my response. The fuck. Because this could have been done for 2018 and 2022. But you didn't. You didn't. I'd love to know what has apparently changed between missing out on the last two Olympic cycles to now where you're like, no, we'll go back. I'd love to know what changed because I'm sorry, I can't imagine it's that much. And you think about the players now that have never played on Olympic ice, or those who have not played since the Sochi Olympics 10 years ago. The last time the NHL went to the Olympics, Sidney Crosby was 26 years old. He is now 36. He will be 37 in August. By the time the NHL makes it to Olympic ice again, Connor McDavid will be 29 playing in his first Olympics.
It's a travesty because of that fact
Gary.
alone.
Like, we can be happy that they're finally going back. But we've missed out on prime Crosby at the Olympics. Mm-hmm. That is a fact. And that sucks. That absolutely sucks. And we've missed out on, I mean, who knows what prime years will be for Connor McDavid. But the fact that we haven't already seen Connor McDavid at the Olympic level at least once, technically it would have been twice, right? 2018 and 2022. He was already in the league in 2018. Mm-hmm. And those are just two examples. Think about all the other players in that age group of Sidney Crosby or older that have already retired that missed out on their extra shot to go to the Olympics. And then you think about the younger players that, again, someone like Connor McDavid, going to be 29 years old by the time he gets back. Or by the time he makes his debut.
Yep.
Like, am I happy that they're finally going back? Yes, but I cannot help but think about all of the time and opportunity lost by so many different players. And for what reason?
The thing that bothers me the most is like they expect to be patted on the back for it.
Right.
It's like, no, you should have been going this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Olympics hasn't been amateur only, and I can't remember how long. So like that's not even an excuse.
I think it was it? Let's see. Nagano was 98. So it would have been.
Yeah, Nagano was 98. It was
so
like
it would have
1987 or something like that.
I was gonna say. So I was thinking it would have been the 1990 Winter Olympics, or would it have been because 92 was the summer one because I think there was a weird thing there, but I'm pretty sure it was the 90s where it changed from amateur representation for Olympic ice hockey. Let's see. When did the NHL first go to the Olympics? Why not? Should be able to find that quick and easy. NHL players participated in 5 games from 98 to 2014. So it was okay. So it was, it was the Nagano Olympics in 98 where they went for the first time. That said, if it stayed that way, right? If it stayed that way and it was only about the amateur game, that's fine. But at the same time, the standard was raised when it was no longer an amateur focus.
Yep.
And let's be honest, the idea of it being an amateur focused thing was bullshit.
Oh yeah, especially
Because of
during
what-
the Soviet Union, like they were all professionals,
Exactly.
but it was a
Exactly.
loophole that they were quote unquote amateurs.
It was 98 that you really finally started to see there be a lot of competition. Here's the history of the gold medal in the Winter Olympics for men's ice hockey. 1920, and then obviously every 4 years on from there. Canada. Great Britain in 36.
What the fuck?
Canada.
I think Canada wasn't there for that one.
Probably not.
Because that's during the fucking war, dude.
Yeah.
36
1936,
That's
yeah.
the
is
that's-
not during a
that's-
war.
Huh?
1936 was not during a war.
Fuck, I don't
It
know.
it
man.
was held in Germany as well. So
They probably boycotted going, if
Probably,
anything.
yeah.
But no, if Great Britain was there, they would have maybe
Yeah.
boycotted.
there was a big break in the Winter Olympics between 1936 and 1948 because of the war. So when it continues in 48, Canada, the Soviets, 1960 is the U.S. Infamously, of course, Herb Brooks not making that team, and then they go
Mhm.
on to win, which was a big crux of like, hey, the 1980 games. From 1964 to 1988, the Soviet Union, with the exception of the U.S. in Lake Placid, 1980, and of course the Soviets won silver over Sweden. 92, you had a unified team known as the Commonwealth of Independent States winning, which was in the aftermath of the Soviet Union falling apart, and that's this whole thing. 94 is Sweden. So you think about that. Very few and far between. It was Canada in the very early stages, the Soviet Union dominating between the 50s and up into the 90s. And then ever since the US or ever since the NHL had allowed teams to go, Czechia, Canada, Sweden, Canada, Russia, which was the Olympic athletes of Russia in 2018 because again the NHL stopped going, and then Finland in 2022.
Finland.
You had a hell of a lot more competitive nature, I would say. I mean, Canada won 3 out of 5 that the NHL was involved in, but it wasn't just Soviets.
Yeah, and
Once
Canada, and they were close games too. You think about the golden goal, Crosby, and it is overtime, man. Like it was a great game.
I mean, and look, I enjoyed ice hockey for the 2018 Olympics. That was when Germany took not Russia to overtime. That was a good story. Finland beating not Russia in 2022 in Beijing. That was a good story. But the level of play is never going to be higher unless you have the NHLers involved.
Yeah.
And like I said, just the absurd amount of players that could have made it, that should have played, and either never got another chance to, or, and have since retired, or if it's someone like Sidney Crosby now, who's in the twilight of his career, it's just incredibly frustrating. I think both can be true. You can be happy that the NHL is finally going back, but you can also say, like, what the fuck's the matter with you? You just could have gone for the past 2 anyway. We could be gearing up for Connor McDavid in his 3rd Olympics heading into 2026. You know?
We could have enjoyed Prime Crosby. Now he's going to be going when he's almost 40.
Yeah, I mean, we're 2
Who
years
knows
out,
if he
right?
makes it? Yeah, who
He
knows
might
if
not.
he even makes it?
Yeah,
by
there's
that
a
point.
realistic chance that the last time Sidney Crosby would have played in the Olympics was 2014.
Yeah, and with the way Ovi's been trending, he's not.
He's
gonna
not
be there.
making it.
He's not going to be there. Like
If Ovechkin is on the Russian team or whatever the hell they call it, if Russia's allowed to participate in the 2026 games, who the fuck knows? He'll be a passenger. Like Alex Ovechkin's quality of play, we've talked about that. It's been bad, man. It's been bad. On this day at least, I see clearly. He has 31 points in 44 games with 9 goals. It sure
that's
looks
still
like
decent, but that's not Ovi.
Exactly. It sure looks like that decline has hit. Ovi is 38.
Mhm.
He will be. Yeah, he'll be 40 by the time those games happen because his birthday is in September. So yeah. I mean, say what you want about Alexander Ovechkin. It's still in terms of him as the hockey player, the fact that, he missed out on the last 2 Olympic Games.
Yeah.
Sucks. And like I said, you think about older, like Joe Pavelski's not going to get a chance for the U.S. again.
Nope. That was his last chance in 2014, and he was a monster that tournament. I remember so clearly.
Like,
you know how far back that was? Fucking Rafalski was playing, I think, unless I'm thinking of 2010. But
so
yeah.
Okay, so here we go, because we always love stuff like this. In terms of the 2014 Olympic rosters, I'm going to mention the U.S. and Canada here instead of
let's
everybody.
just do that. Yeah.
For the U.S., their goaltenders, Jonathan Quick, Jimmy Howard, Ryan Miller.
Jimmy Howard.
2 out of 3 are retired, and I can't imagine Jonathan Quick's going. Whereas he would have in one of the prior 2 games that they missed. He absolutely would have at least made the roster. He might not have been the starter, but he would have been there. Your forwards, Joe Pavelski. Doubt he's going. Zach Parise was the captain of the team in Sochi. He did just sign with Colorado, but he's not going in 2 years.
No.
Derek Stepan is retired. Ryan Kessler's retired. James Van Riemsdyk is now 34, so maybe he'll get another chance. Dustin Brown, retired. Ryan Callahan, retired. Paul Stastny, retired. Blake Wheeler, he is 37. He'll be 38 in August.
Yeah, he's in his 11th hour career.
David Backes, retired. Max Pacioretty, injured to shit. TJ Sochi himself, will he get another opportunity? Probably not. He would have in 2018. He probably would have in 2020. He's 37. He's probably not getting another shot. Phil Kessel probably will never get another shot. He hasn't even signed with the team. Patrick Kane, maybe he hangs around long enough to play in 2026. On defense, Cam Fowler, John Carlson, Paul Martin, Ryan Suter, Kevin Shattenkirk, Ryan McDonough, Brooks Orpik, and Justin Falk. How many of those guys would have been on that USA team in 2018? I'd say a good amount of them.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least would have certainly been in consideration to make it. And then obviously 2020, it would have, Kane would have been there. Pavelski would have been there. But 2026, I don't know how many of you don't get more than a handful. I don't even think you get a handful.
No,
Maybe,
not with how many good Americans are in the league now, man.
Right.
And most of the ones that we talk about now are just getting better. Like, I don't think anyone you mention of the forward group who wasn't retired is going to make it over some of the other Americans.
Patrick Kane off of legacy, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. He's the only one, maybe. JVR if he plays 4th line. But I don't know if he'll be there. Like, it's
these guys
nuts.
got screwed. That generation got absolutely screwed. The Canadian team in 2014 in Sochi. Luongo, Price, and Mike Smith.
They're all gone.
They're all gone. Mike Smith hasn't officially retired, but I doubt
he's
he
44.
back.
What the hell?
Yeah, right. Luongo and Price. Price especially. Price probably would have been, unless he was hurt, he would have been the starter in 2018 for Canada. He got fucked.
That's when his injuries first started, 2018.
The forwards. Matt Duchene, Patrick Sharp, Patrick Marleau, Chris Kunitz, Ryan Getzlaff, Jonathan Taves, John Tavares, Jamie Benn, Corey Perry, Martin St. Louis, Patrice Bergeron, Rick Nash, Jeff Carter, and Captain Sidney Crosby. That generation got
They're all
fucked.
retired. Like, most of those names you just mentioned are retired now. That is crazy.
Like, I'm sorry that it's the pessimistic attitude for me in regards to this when I should just be hyped, but this is what I think about, is I'm genuinely frustrated for these guys. And you have to imagine there's some level of frustration from them too. For the most part, I'm sure someone like Patrice Bergeron's like, it was out of my hands, man. I had a great career. I'm going to be a Hockey Hall of Famer, whatever. But
First ballot.
there has to be frustration. Their defense, by the way, was Duncan Keith, Dan Hamhuis, or as 2K called him, Dan Hamhouse.
Yeah.
Shea Weber. Oh, Shea Weber boy.
Shea Weber boy.
Drew Doughty, Jay Bouwmeester, Alex Pietrangelo, Marc-Edouard Vlasic, and PK Subban.
You see, kids, Vlasic was elite.
With, by the way, a note here that Martin St. Louis was only there because Steven Stamkos was selected but was injured and unable to play. Talk about someone who's gotten totally fucked out of an international career. Steven Stamkos has never played in the Olympics. Not once. He's played in World Championships, World Juniors. Steven Stamkos, because of that injury, and he wasn't a part of the Canadian team in 2010, Steven Stamkos has never played an Olympic game for Canada.
That's crazy.
He's 33 now. He turns 34 on February 7th. So he'll be Crosby's age by the time they're getting ready to go to the Olympics in 2026. No guarantee he makes that team with Canada's roster. And if he does, it's not prime Steven Stamkos. And that's a tragedy. To me, at least as a hockey fan. And I don't get it. I don't get it. Because we all talked about that over the last 2 Olympic cycles that they missed. And what the hell are the NHL doing? What is this bullshit? Just fucking go. Like, we get the idea of, oh, well, injuries can happen. The players wanted to go. Whether or not it's the owners, the NHL's governance, whatever the hell, they dropped the ball twice. Let's not pretend they didn't now because we're all happy that they're finally going back. There's a generation that got absolutely shafted. Multiple generations. The prior generation that might have had a chance to go in 2016 or 2018, excuse me. And then there's the current generation of Connor McDavid, again, not playing his first Olympic Games until age 29. And God forbid he gets hurt and misses it like Stamkos did. Then you're talking about him not getting to play in the Olympics until age 30 fucking 3. Like, and that's because of the missed opportunities from before. So, yes, it's nice they're going back. Holy hell, is it frustrating. Because it shouldn't have been this. It shouldn't have been.
Yeah. I'm trying to see, because Tomas Hertl is now in his 30s. I'm trying to see if he actually played for the Olympics once, because he would have been available for one of them. Sorry.
He wasn't on a 2014 roster.
What? That's crazy. For Czechia? Maybe they weren't there?
They were there. Yeah, he wasn't on that team.
What? That's weird.
The forwards on that 2014 team for the Czechs. And this is another point. There are some guys that might have been able to sneak on to their rosters in 2018 because they were on this career peak and then they just fell off and now they have no shot of making it, right?
Yeah.
The 2014 Czech team was Milan Mihalik, Roman Cervenka, and again, apologies for pronunciations here, Martin Hansel, Yuri Novotny, Thomas Plekanec, Andre Palat, Patrick Elias, David Krejci, Michael Frolik, Jaromir Jagr, Aleš Hemsky, Jakub Voracek, Martin Erat, Peter Nedved, Jakub Kovar, Andre Pavelik, and Alexander Salak. The latter 3 being goalies, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's immensely frustrating to me because I can't just be like, oh yeah, no, everything's good now. No, let's not forget how rightfully frustrated hockey fans were in the hockey world happened to be in 2018 and 2022 when the NHL didn't go. Rightfully frustrated for a reason, and those reasons are still very much applicable now, just like they were before.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you could look back at the there are some good stories from the 2018 deal because you had players that never would have gotten there otherwise, right? Like the Canadian roster in 2018, Carl Stellari wasn't going to be an Olympian had it not been for the NHL not being involved, or Gilbert Brulé for Canada, and like the US's team that year, you had some names such as James Wisniewski and Captain Brian Gianna, stuff like that.
God.
Like, they were kind of enjoyable for that reason, but nothing beats the best of the best going head to head. And that is why in 2016, the NHL held the World Cup of Hockey, which did hockey fans enjoy it? Yes. That was a fun tournament. Would anybody say I prefer that tournament over them going to the Olympics 2 years later? No. And if you do, you're a fucking liar. You're just trying to be contrarian. Nobody wanted that tournament over the Olympics. People enjoyed the tournament because it was fucking scuffed. That tournament was fucking stupid. Where you had Canada, who won as hosts, Brad Marchand scoring the winner in Toronto, the Czech Republic, Finland, Russia, Sweden, the United States, and then Team North America, which was 23 and under players that were either American or Canadian.
Europeans loved that.
Yeah, with McDavid and Matthews on the same team. You also had Team Some of Europe, where if you weren't from Czechia, if you weren't from Finland or Russia or Sweden, they just threw the rest of you onto a team.
Fuck you, and just threw them over.
Germans, Slovakians, Swiss, French, Denmark with Bodker, Yannick Hansen, Franz Nielsen. Thomas Vanek was there for Austria. Matt Zuccarello, you're Norwegian. Team Some of Europe.
Like, God, that was such a bad... Like, I get it, but at the same time, it's literally like when you're filling out your ethnicity on a fucking ID paper. It's like, black, white, whatever, this, other. It's like, why?
And now the NHL is doing something similar with another international tournament. Yay. Who cares? They are going to be hosting the Four Nations Face-Off tournament in 2025. Canada, Finland, Sweden, and the United States represented. Which...
Fuck you, Russia.
So
Fuck
it's
you anywhere else.
It's an in-season tournament next year that will consist of 7 total games being played over 9 days between February 12th and 20th, along with 2 practice days on the 10th and the 11th, to be held in 2 yet-to-be-named North American cities, 1 in Canada and 1 in the United States. So you have no problem doing this in-season mini international tournament. But of course, sending players to the Olympics isn't worth it.
Yeah.
Quebec and Salt Lake. Calling it right now, Quebec City and Salt Lake.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But, I'm guessing some people will be like, well, yeah, but it's an NHL event, so they benefit from it. Does the NHL better benefit from a tournament like this, or do they better benefit from having the spotlight that the Olympics provides?
It's the Olympics, but that's a long-term, the NHL has a major issue with like understanding long-term benefits. It seems like they're always in it for the short term. Oh, what if players get injured over there? It'll mess up this, and it'll mess up this year. It'll mess up this year. Whereas you look at what the NBA did when they brought about the Dream Team and how much basketball took off globally, largely in part to that. So much so that we had to have the Redeem Team because USA got its fucking ass kicked by multiple, other teams. Like it's great. It's honestly, it's it bugs me how short-sighted the NHL and many fans are too, who like to side with the weird decisions that the NHL makes sometimes.
But hooray, they're going back to the Olympics. Please clap for Gary Bettman. Please clap.